Oh, there is.
All right, Chair Ottenberg, we're ready when you are.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Economic Development Committee meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2024. Ms. Lobeck, would you please take roll?
Chair Ottenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Bartoni.
Here.
Councilmember Brost,
Here.
Councilmember Dodwell,
Here.
Councilmember Fleischer, Councilmember Garitano,
Here.
Councilmember Jaxi, Councilmember Marshall.
Present.
And we have a quorum, so that's good. We move along now to approve of the meetings. Minutes, I should say, from the January 30th, 2024 meeting and also the February 27th, 2024 meeting. And the reason we are doing both of those meetings tonight is, you may recall, at the last meeting, we did not have a quorum, so we had to adjourn the meeting immediately. So does anyone have any questions regarding the minutes for either meeting listed?
The only question I have is, I was at the one, but I wasn't at the one in February. So if we're approving minutes, can we do them separately?
Absolutely.
Because I'd have to abstain
Yes.
from it.
We will do that. Councilmember Marshall.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the January meeting.
All right,
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion? In that case, all those in favor of approval of the minutes from the January 30th meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstention. Motion carries. Minutes approved from the January 30th meeting. Now we move along to the minutes for the February 27th meeting. I have a motion for approval of those minutes made by Councilmember Dodwell,
I can
seconded
second
by Councilmember Marshall. Any discussion?
Good thing we ran out of people.
In that case, seeing none, then all those in favor of approving the minutes of the February 27th meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll abstain.
All right, abstention by Councilmember Bartoni. It's approved. Moving along to public comment. No public comment, or I should say no people in the audience tonight.
We have one on Zoom. And Mr. Cohn, if you'd like to speak, would you use the raise? He does. I'm promoting him now.
All right, Mr. Cohen, good evening. Thank you for being here. Please feel free to begin at your convenience.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
All right, so again, my name is Ed Cohn, Ward 3. My first thing I wanted to address was the meeting, I believe it was in January. We're on the agenda. One of the topics was why are restaurants closing? And I wanted to bring again one of my opinions as to why Wildwood has an economic disadvantage to other communities. Whereupon a lot of other locations have the advantage of Highway 270, the Interbelt, Highway 44, Highway 40, 64. And I will ask Dad, we don't have an outer belt, which, by the way, is a great thing. It's what's helped preserve the beautiful green space that we have and the non-urban property we have to the west of Highway 109. However, working with this disadvantage, I think there are some ways that we can level the playing field with other municipalities that have taken advantage of the Chapter 100 legislation that our state has created to help make development work. Most recently, an example of a municipality using Chapter 100 is the city of Ellisville, who granted Midas Hospitality many of the provisions of Chapter 100 for the luxury apartments they're building just to the east of us. Having said that, what I am asking you to investigate is that portion of Chapter 100, which is simply that allows a development to not have to pay sales tax on personal property on construction projects. construction materials. What this does is in effect not cause any hardship to the school district, does not cause any problems to the fire protection district. And basically, just to make it as simple as I can, the city issues that exemption certificate to the developer. The city purchases those products. The developer then leases from the city those items. The lease payment is equal to what the city pays. So the net result, there is no cost to the city. So I was hopeful that as I move forward with our 11-acre mixed-use development on the east side of the movie theater, that you could have a committee started to investigate to see if this is something that would be helpful to level the playing field for Wildwood against other municipalities. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cohn. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Cohn right now? All right, Mr. Cohn, it does not look like we have any questions for you at this point in time. Thank you very much for your comments tonight, and we look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you. I'll be available for a while if you need to get back to me.
All right. And I believe, Mr. Vunish, there is no one else teed up for public comment.
No, sir.
Okay, then we will move along to discussion items. Under for information and update on business changes and other business news, City Administrator Lee, would you like to take over?
Thank you, Chair Ottenberg. Yes, we got some really exciting updates this evening. First and foremost, we have 2 new restaurants and a kind of a speakeasy late night venue, if you will, coming into Town Center, looking to open in the coming months, weeks even. The first is Mint and Martini, located at 2490 Taylor Road, formerly the Botanica. Rapal Patel successfully leased this property from Deerberg's Markets, who has been working to get that taken over for a little bit of time now. And in this case as well, she actually owns the current Red Chili Indian Cuisine and Bar in Chesterfield, Missouri, which is doing really well, and definitely encourage everyone to take a look at that current establishment. On top of that, it will be a restaurant specializing in Indian cuisine. They've already applied for a liquor license, and they will be coming back. They're working with the city right now to get their proper permitting and rezoning, re-occupancy permit, sign permit, et cetera. So they should be cleaning up that space pretty well. So good news on that front. On top of that, another restaurant is coming in, and they're a little bit further along. They've got their business license. I believe they have the re-occupancy permit. They're just a little bit further down the pipe because they came in a little sooner. But the Local House Bistro, which is different from the Local House Restaurant and Bar, located at 16524 Manchester Road, which was formerly Craft Food and Eats, and then also it changed into Vittoria for a short period of time. But now this Local House Bistro has taken over, and they actually have a secondary location that's called the Local House Restaurant and Bar in Arnold, Missouri, which is wildly successful. And both of these businesses, Mint and Martini and Local House, both spoke highly of Wildwood, and they actually had been looking for space in Wildwood for a decent amount of time. So luckily they found the right space, and this time we're probably going to be seeing them open before the summertime, and we'll be having some ribbon cutting ceremonies and along those lines. So be on the lookout for more info there. But great news to see that those restaurants we were talking about just at the January meeting, both have been leased out with a lot of activity, and this is on the report too. Intellica CRE is the individual brokerage firm that oversees the leasing for the building that used to host Benedetto's, and they have worked out a deal to keep that kitchen gear and all the equipment in that restaurant for whoever leases it. So that's a really good sign. But also they've been putting in a lot of effort into leasing out that space, and they've already had about 5 different restaurants tour the space. So we should see that space fill up here. I'm expecting sometime soon as well. Moving forward, we do have also, and this is just 2 days away, the Big Chief Roadhouse Speakeasy, which is actually doing their grand opening on March 28th, so this Thursday, where you go into Big Chief, if you're familiar, that little phone booth that is tucked in right on the back end of it actually is a secret entrance to a second floor where there's a new bar lounge concept that they've done. And They've done a lot of renovations on that second floor too, but at the end of the day, this is looking to be a really nice place for individuals to visit after hours and to kind of relax. So a lot of entertainment and food options coming in, which is great to see. Next, we do have just a quick update that a ribbon cutting ceremony is coming up. We've had quite a few in the last couple months. We've got one more on the horizon just for now. On April 11th, 2024 at 11:30, the Porch of Wildwood will be hosting their ribbon cutting ceremony. They are located at 16957 Manchester Road. The offering hasn't necessarily changed too much, but Jan Kaufman actually purchased this property last year from Nettie White, and she's been kind of getting her feet settled before putting together a ribbon cutting ceremony. She reached out to the city and the West St. Louis County Chamber, and it seemed like the right time. So this is going on right with one of their sales they're having. So good to see that. And Nettie White actually still maintains a small space in there where she runs her interior design business. So all good news there, and glad to see the Porch is keeping up. Last but not least, I won't keep too long here, but the Snipe Academy too is working to move into the property located at 2650 Highway 109. They're looking to open a hockey school. This is a little bit of a new concept. These areas, I mean, these places do exist, but it's kind of an alternative training camp / actual school for children that have promising futures in hockey, roughly from 6 to 18 years old or first through 12th grade. This individual classroom set would literally be almost like a school in a sense of having, you know, desk chairs, but also would have a standstill interactive like hockey. It's hard to explain. It acts as if it's ice, and they're able to position themselves. They have data equipment hooked up to them to be able to monitor their movement with moving a puck, and they're able to analyze that data and then change it into hopefully better performance on the ice. So this is kind of a solution that's been brought up to answer some of the issues of lack of ice rinks being available. A lot of ice hockey teams have actually gone out and done roller hockey to practice. So it's this is kind of one of those nifty solutions that for individuals that still need to get schooling that is regulated, but then also having the hockey component seems to be a match made in heaven. They've done a lot of work to get that in there. So the department's available for any questions at this time. There's a couple other updates here, mostly ribbon cuttings that we've been doing over the last couple months.
Councilmember Dodwell.
Snipe Academy, where is that building?
That is located within the Westridge office.
Okay, so it's in one of those multi-story buildings?
Yep.
They have the whole floor then, I take
They
it?
will have, so it is broken out into two different businesses, so they'll have the majority of it, and then the individual that owns, they purchased the building, they actually are gonna be running their business out of this, the adjacent space, but it's utilizing, and I'm correct in that, right? One of those buildings you're thinking about, the 6, now just has 2 tenants, we'll have 2 tenants.
Okay. Thank you.
Couple questions for you. The Red Chili Indian restaurant and bar. The owner who's opening Mitten Martini, is there a projected opening date for that?
They do not have a projected opening date, but she did say that she will be opening as soon as she legally can. So she's currently, we actually will be speaking with her tomorrow to help her through the sign process, but she's already got her liquor license application. It's moving pretty quick. I would say probably within the next month or so.
And then the Porch, is that the building that's located on the corner of Old 66 and what is that, Etherton?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, thank you for that. And then question for you. I can't give you the address, but it's the building that used to be some type of a daycare that was across from Babbler Elementary. It's located right up there by St. Albans. Yes, yeah. There was some activity going on there. Does anyone know what's happening with that building?
I am unaware, but I can
It was a preschool.
Yeah, it was a preschool.
Yeah, I have not heard anything, but.
Rosie?
Some
Rossi?
Rosati.
Yeah, I drove by there. It looked like they were clearing out the place because one day they had all like, I guess, the equipment from the school out in the parking lot. And I noticed several cars of people like going through it. So I think they even had a dumpster there, if I recall. So looks like they were just clearing out the building.
Councilmember Garitano, thank you for that. Hopefully you didn't have your hand up too long before we got to you.
No, not at all. That's fine.
All right, great. Any other questions for City Administrator Lee on his business update? City Administrator Lee, did you have anything else to add?
Nothing else other than we can look into that, Elaine Rossi. I know that I'm aware of the business, but I did not know they were closing, right? So we can double check on that.
Okay.
They've been closed.
A long time.
They've been
Yeah,
closed.
I think they've been closed for a while.
Probably at least a year.
So it's really just emptying out the building.
Yeah.
They own another one or two around in the county.
Yeah.
More.
If they're emptying though, that may mean that somebody
Could be
is
moving in.
interested in
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
in, so.
Councilmember Dodwell.
Better sense.
As far as the
Pickleball.
old Jack in the Box location, can you share anything more about what's going on there?
Yeah, so, yeah, more than happy to, Councilmember Dodworth. So that one has been kind of a stick in the mud, if you will. Just because we have owners that are located in New York. They have reached out to the city to assist them with, helping them sell the property. Obviously, we cannot do anything that would directly assist them, but we can promote the property as we do on our website and also, just help by letting, businesses that call us know, hey, this is an open space. That being said, one of the main issues is just repurposing that actual structure. So if you're a person that is wanting to own a business in that space specifically, typically that's gonna involve leveling the current structure and then rebuilding from scratch. That is what's been discussed on a couple different occasions. We did get a development interest that made it all the way to a DCRC meeting. They didn't get the most, they got a pretty welcome response, but it wasn't necessarily, hey, this could work. And there were some flaws in the design and what they were planning. So that being said, it seems like a developer is gonna have to come in and repurpose that site. And interestingly enough, I was actually talking with Joe Vunish about this, not our director of planning and parks not too long ago today. But there's actually a very large issue with Jack in the Box across the country. I did some traveling and driving down to Texas. I actually noticed there were multiple Jack in the Boxes that were vacant. And there are a lot in St. Louis too. So I believe that might lead to, in our case, how they didn't really necessarily keep up with the maintenance towards the end, but now the new owners sometimes do lapse on that. We keep on them for it. But right now, the most promising lead is First and Main Properties did reach out to me specifically and said that it could maybe be used for a urgent care. They told me they would look into the numbers. They wanted to see if it could even work. It could. So that being said, they said they need to check the numbers to see if it would even make sense. Haven't heard back and it's been a couple of weeks now. That being said, there's also been not an interest directly in that site, but there's been kind of a nicer auto body repair, not a necessarily like a nasty looking auto body repair, but they have shown some interest in Wildwood in general, and this could be the space that they're willing to demolish and redevelop, just because that site is really every fast food chain you can think of has toured it. But repurposing it under their brand and their franchise is very difficult, along with the issues with actual vehicular traffic on that route. It is problematic. So that is the most current update. We've seen a lot of interest. We have a seller that's willing to sell right now, but it's a little bit high priced for having to do it.
All right, any other questions for City Administrator Lee?
What is the sale price on the property?
It's around $900,000.
Big investment that have to
And then
tear the building down.
tear that building down,
Starting
that's
over.
a rough. Yeah, it's not as expensive as, doing a full makeup of it, but then that demolition cost gets added to whatever you plan on developing at that property.
All right, then we move along to item B for information review of 2023 Wildwood Business Survey results. City Administrator Lee, back to you again.
Thank you, Chair Ottenberg. Appreciate it. In this case, wanted to follow up, I had finished the department had finished compiling some of the findings and results from the 2023 Wildwood Business Survey. This survey was released and authorized by the Economic Development Committee, actually back in late 2022. But we wanted to have a full year to get responses and promote it. So in this case, from January 1st to December 31st, we had a 24-question survey that was live and was promoted during our business forums and during one-on-one visitations with any businesses. We actually created a QR code on a little card pamphlet, if you will, and that was handed out during meetings. And we only did get 41 submissions, which isn't great. Listing of the businesses that were included are included under the Q1, which was question 1. Some of the major findings, kind of a synopsis of it, is some interesting findings, quite literally. I noticed, the department noticed that the full-time employees and part-time employees being at 6.4 and 5.9 on average per business was actually higher than expected on my end, for at least interpreting it. So it indicates that there are employment opportunities in Wildwood, even though some people might say there are staffing shortages. It does show that people are working 6.4 and 5.9 on average. Another quick find was that the business environment, I thought this was very helpful, that 90.25% of the respondents find Wildwood either a good or excellent place to do business. And some of those sentiments are attributed to the unique environment, beautiful scenery, pretty much the things that make Wildwood great, the parks and trails, things along those lines. So it does kind of fall into our live, work, play marketing page, and that plan, how to sell this city is, hey, focus on health and fitness and focus in on the actual environment that we have out here, which is very special. And there's another key indicator down here that I want to tie to that as well. But then going on to this as well, and this is only 41 businesses out of the over 300 we have here in the city, a lot being home-based business and around half being commercial, but 65.85% of the businesses had been operating in the city for over 5 years, which shows a little bit of durability. It's good to see. One of the interesting finds too is that the physical setting, so pretty much the nature and trails, all that, but really location and personal resident proximity were actually very large indicators for why business owners decided to open in Wildwood. One of the other factors, which I think could be attributed to COVID, was the ability to work from home, which was mentioned quite a few times in the open-ended source question. Kind of moving into COVID, obviously in 2022, late 2022, is a little bit more on our minds than it is today, but that impact was still very real. And 74.36% of respondents let us know that they were impacted by COVID-19, with some of the items that had been mentioned were slowdowns in business, harsh restrictions, just general closures that we had here in St. Louis County. But strangely enough, and I thought I would note it, the department would note it, is that we did actually see some improvement to business for home projects and online marketing. So two very specialized sectors. So individual businesses that tended to fix up homes, fix up yards, landscaping, things along those lines. They actually responded a lot of the times that, hey, COVID was really good because people were focusing in on the house. Same goes with digital communication companies or just mailer companies, things along those lines. That business seemed to boom, which with personal experience in that field before for my time with the city, I can confirm that actually was very true. Digital marketing did have a boom during COVID. Because everybody was on their laptops a little bit more, taking a little less fresh time outside. So interesting find, and just kind of show the inverse of COVID's impact. Some other statistics real quick here. This is out of the sample. I always like to remind the department likes to remind. So, but 56.1% stated that they were members of the now dissolved Wildwood Business Association. With 41 businesses, I mean, that's over, that's around 22 businesses that mentioned that. So it does give some hope on the business of Wildwood, the new organization, that could get that could generate some positive feedback, and also could have a very steady membership for the Wildwood Business Association. As recently as 2019 had almost 100 businesses that were included in that organization. So it's not like it was too far removed from that success. One interesting find, though, to kind of contradict that, but 56.1% was only that 17.5% of the businesses that answered were members of the West St. Louis County Chamber of Commerce. So it seems like that there is probably popularity of having that very localized business organization. So it just goes to speak that the new organization, Business of Wildwood, could be very successful. The business owner residency item here, we did find that 58.54% of respondents claim to be Wildwood residents. It's great to hear. And then also it kind of ties in with the location drivers being almost on par with personal proximity to home, which was 51% of the people. So interesting find. It seems like a lot of our residents tend to open businesses here. Also, I would say some really good things that we see here is that the future outlook, almost 100% of the respondents, 97.56%, intend to either stay the same size they are, keep things moving, or expand within the next 3 years, which is really good to hear. It means that no one's planning to close or move, so that's great. No, and actually it was found that no business actually answered that they're looking to downsize or leave. Some just don't really necessarily. In this case as well, so this kind of get into the meat and potatoes. The business challenges that were mentioned, zoning regulations made up 25%, staffing issues made up 28.21%, signage difficulties came in at the top at 41.03%. So those were the three top issues that were mentioned by our business community out of the 41 or 42 that answered. And then a quick note that 68.57% of Wildwood businesses, this sample, believe that we provide enough support for businesses outside of the town center. That could indicate a little bit more of an effort to spotlight some of our businesses that fall outside of our ordinance here. And I know I had talked with Zix Outdoor Supply, and he's a very big proponent of this as well. So maybe there's something we can do there, and maybe a partnership on that and some of our events. Real quick here, last couple things that the business forums tended to see pretty good ratings here at 82.5%, expressing their intent to attend future business forums, show support for the overall event. We had a great turnout the last one, so it seems like we've kind of found a sweet spot on the actual timing. And then business type in Wildwood, why I bring this up, it's actually very interesting because it aligns almost on a 1-to-1 ratio with our citizen survey from 2022, is that we need more sit-down restaurants, we need more quick serve restaurants, more entertainment, and more our businesses have answered, and our citizenry, at least in 2022, non-statistically relevant survey, I will mention, had all claimed that we have enough professional services, we have enough landscape, things like that. So it's more so getting entertainment, getting restaurants, and getting the retail component back here. Some of the just general challenges that were also mentioned were foot traffic and visibility. And last but not least, in the general comment section, if you read through them, and they're all included here, the actual responses, it's generally pretty good. A lot of individuals, the businesses that answered said, hey, there's a couple things we could tweak here or there, but overall, they've all said it's a really great place to do business. And more importantly, a lot of them said it's a great place to live. So I think there was a value in having this survey out there. And I think in the future, the department can kind of work with it to see if we can get a higher response rate. But overall, it seems like it replicates some of the items that are brought to us on a day-to-day basis. So it's kind of nice to be able to classify it and have some data on it. And department's available for any questions.
The items of concern, the challenges that the businesses face, I think you said signage was the number one.
Yep.
Were the respondents aware of the changes that have taken place regarding temporary sign?
Interesting finding on that, Councilor Rottenberg. The majority of responses actually came before the temporary sign regulations were implemented.
Okay.
The amendment to the temporary sign regulation. So in that case, it would be actually for that question, it would be nice to maybe reassess, because this was most of I would say about 80% came in before that final stuff. That ordinance was passed by council.
Okay. Councilmember Dodwell.
Do we know who made those concerning comments? Or are these all? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I would
could
hope
match
we
up a half
don't
a
know
dozen of them.
who made the commentary in some of these, so I didn't know we got a name of a business. that went on.
Yes, in this case, the ones that were a little bit more troubling, the department's already reached out to those individuals and just it's more of a throwing out there a document for our memo today. Wanted to protect the identity, but
Yeah.
that being
Uh-huh.
said, the department has already reached out to the individuals that some of the wanted.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we made those businesses aware of any changes. If they need extra impetus to do so.
Question for you, one of the other challenges that they mentioned was zoning. So are there, without mentioning a particular business, what type of zoning issues were they concerned about?
In this case, there's actually a really good stat. I'm sorry, I want to actually get the straight stat for you. There was a decent percentage that said zoning was an issue, but then when we actually asked about that, more generally, a lot of individuals answered they don't know enough. They don't have enough information to make a good determination. Oh, I want to actually get that stat. Interesting. Okay, so out of the 40, there were 10. Elaborated. Honestly, and under the elaboration, the area where they could expand on their answers, there were a few mentioning of the zoning pieces, but most were based on signage and based on visibility. Yeah, I actually can't say that there was too many items that were directly, there's a lot of opportunity in this survey to write out answers, and no one specifically said, hey, this neighborhood edge district needs to be changed into a more of our workplace district. So
Okay,
I don't think there's been that much attributed to specific zoning regulation, but I would say the bigger picture item to maybe look at there is that we do have businesses outside of the town center, and it seems like there is enough a needle push here to put a little bit more focus on those businesses and hopefully put a spotlight on. Maybe you can do like our businesses outside of town center.
all right, very good. Councilmember Dodwell.
First, I just want to say thank you very much for getting the survey put together and for not letting it run for like 2 or 3 years, but to start and stop on it, so that we get critical data. And I think it's great that you put together your synopsis here. Will we have a new communications / economic development manager coming on board soon? Because they could use this to start sitting down with you, with us, and identify, okay, what do they need to be working on first? This is a wonderful chart to start with, or game plan to start with.
I do agree, and yes, we will be looking to hire someone as soon as possible. We have 8 applications currently submitted. One of the things that we've found, that departments found specifically with these applications is that it's very difficult to find someone that has the communications and the economic development background, so
Yeah,
it's.
you've done a really job description for a specific person previously.
Yeah, and so it's either they come in and they at least the resume shows a strong support of, hey, this person could definitely do communications, or this person could definitely go out and, help support our businesses. It's been very difficult so far, at least out of the 8 applications that we've gotten. Not necessarily bad applications, they seem very strong, but not necessarily being overwhelming on both of those topics. But that being said, we do plan on having some interviews with some of those 8, and we'll hopefully see some kind of shine on that other side in those interviews. So I would say within maybe the next month.
This month, okay.
Very good. Councilmember Brost.
Yeah, I've got a question. I don't know if this, I had an experience Sunday night, which was really good in our city, enjoyed some ice cream, but it made me think about something. Is it possible for the city to, I'll just loosely use the word, try to do a job fair? And I'm just wondering if that could be, if there's any way to try to, for residents that are actually seeking some type, I'll call it their first job, not their last job, but there seems to be a need in the community, especially if we want to try to add more in the form of restaurant and entertainment. Is there something the city could do to help facilitate identifying people in the community that are seeking some type of an employment, and then try to have that available for employers? In my experience I had was Sunday night, went to a very nice ice cream store in Wildwood, and there was a young man behind us who stood a little bit longer than we did to get our ice cream, only to find out they didn't have a job, and he'd filled out an application and all this. And I didn't realize it, but I wish I would have got his name, because I would have gone out of my way to find him a job. A young man that, you know, that's going to take the initiative to do something like that. I'd really like to try to help him. So my question comes back to, is there any way that the city could try to promote something like that, you know, and stay away from, we're trying to, you know, you can't take city dollars and spend it on a company or something. But that's my thought, because and I'd like to hear some feedback if anyone that knows more about it than me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dodwell.
Just as you're saying that, I'm thinking, could we, and I don't know whether it's legally possible or not, but can we have a job board on our website? I don't know. So that local businesses could post where they need personnel.
Case, I can double check with the city attorney on that.
Yeah.
I do know we get in a little bit of a dicey, I know that
Yeah.
in the past, we've been able to, you know, say some, a business is looking to hire quite a bit of staff, and they reach out to us, we could put in like the e-newsletter. So that seems to be okay, but it's more so when you could be seen as showing favoritism to certain businesses that aren't given the, it opens up a can of worms of giving everyone equal opportunity to provide you with their vacancy, not vacancy, unemployment.
Their vacancy,
Yeah,
yeah.
quite literally, how many positions they have. And if you don't stay on top of that, and you say one is just being more connective, that's where you can run into some trouble, but I can definitely follow up with the city attorney just to see if we could do that. And the other thing is, we've reached out before to the community college, and we didn't reach out to Rockwood School District on this, but we could to potentially maybe do like a partner up on something where we could use this job board, if it is legally okay, to set it up, but then have maybe some kind of in-person meet and greet for those business owners, but also the potential individuals that are interested in finding a job. Because we had talked about that in January too, that staffing is obviously something we want to help, especially with the entertainment, retail, and restaurant businesses here. So more than happy to do that.
I mean, maybe if we could use our facility for a job fair or something, so that we could let the local businesses know we're having a job fair here. And I don't know that we could do anything at community college as a city representative, but maybe we could reach out to the community college and see if they would be willing to host a job.
That was that's the feedback we did get, was that they said they told me that Dr. White had told me that if they're gonna do something like that, they would prefer having it on their campus, because that's where the students already are. So you're gonna get the individuals that might have heard about it, saw it on their bulletin board or saw it on a social media post. But you're also gonna get the students that are walking to class that showed up to the campus to go to class, and they're subconsciously needing a job, and then they say, oh, there's a fair right there. So you get that walk by traffic. So that was what we've been told, but we could also have something here at the City Hall if it's more so opening up to more than just students of the community. We can definitely follow up on that, and also see if we can have a job board under the business tab on the city's website.
Any possibility we could get that job fair going by the end of April?
We can report back next month on what Dr. White and Rockwood School District say.
Okay. You're gonna have kids looking for summer jobs like now.
Oh, hey, Katie, I'll just jump in here real quick. to your comment, I certainly hope we'll have kids looking for summer jobs.
I
You
hope
know,
so.
I sometimes question, that's why, but yeah, I think that's,
It's out here that don't go to work, which bothers me, but that's a whole nother social issue.
yeah. But, no, I think those are all really good ideas. And again, we're supporting our businesses. And we're also supporting by the survey, the types of businesses that the residents seem to want to see growth in. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Marsh?
I think one of the things, talked about this in the past, where you might run into a problem, companies like Deerbergs and Schnucks and Hidden Valley, they want you to run an ad all the time because they're looking for people all the time. Everybody doesn't work in those kind of jobs. I think drawing the line as to, we're constantly looking for people, or, housekeeping jobs or those type of things. I think there's probably a line there that makes it really difficult to say you can do it for an ice cream shop, but you can't do it for Deerbergs. I know we've talked about it before. It's too bad there's not a way for people to go someplace and look for jobs. But you would hope you could do that through the schools in order to do it. But I think everybody, if they really want to work, there's a lot of jobs out there. But I don't know that we could play that role and be as fair as we'd like to. So I'm sure you'll see the people, or the nurseries are always looking for people. And
Why would we not be fair if we sent out notice to all of the businesses?
I think what you do, Katie, is you'll have Deerbergs and Schnucks will want people in there all the time then. So you will have employers there constantly because they're always looking for people.
Well, they're already working with the community college, probably.
Well, but they're gonna be paying wages that are different. Now you gotta join the union, but I mean, I just think you get your answers. I mean, if we could do it, that would be great. I just know that the wages that people are wanting to pay for what they can do is one of the reasons kids don't want to work. So.
One mechanism too that we've already been offering, and one of our most popular mechanisms for promotion in the city, is our new resident packets. And there have been instances when we have those conversations of onboarding new material or changing out material. A lot of businesses actually do, they promote their business, but then they'll also put in, we're hiring, and we'll have their website, where their jobs are posted on their website too. So that is something that if a business is listening to this meeting, we do offer that for any Wildwood business. They can provide as much material as they can, and our receptionist will let them know once we run low on that material to make sure it keeps going out to the new residents that come into Wildwood every month. So that's something that at least the new residents, maybe a teenage kid moves in to that retail section, but also other jobs found that way too. I know that's been taken advantage of a couple times.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding the business survey results? In that case, then we move along to ready for action. Only one item here, review of chapter 100 and potential applications. And City Administrator Lee, I believe you have a couple of comments here.
Yes, so thank you, Chair. In this case, the department wanted to request additional time here to get and collect more information about the implementation of chapter 100 in Ellisville, and also it's been done in a couple of our neighboring municipalities. I think that would help kind of localize the issue a little bit more. So in this case, the department's requesting a little bit more time to be able to dive into this issue a little bit further, to present actual on the ground feedback from neighboring municipalities during follow-up meeting.
Mr. Vunich.
Mr. Cohn has his hand raised. Would you like me to promote him or not?
Public comments.
Public comments over.
Yeah, Mr. Cohn can give me a call after the meeting or something of that sort if you would so desire.
Just wanted to let you
Yep, thank you. All right, so no objection on my part. I don't think we really need a motion in order for you to gather that additional information. Councilmember Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any issue with Tom, what you said. What I'm wondering is that this seems like something that has the opportunity to help. And I'm not saying I'm 100% for it or anything like that. But I guess my question is, when I was reading it, it is sort of complicated. And and I think to reach out to Ellisville would be good, but I also wonder if, between, and I hate to use the word consultant or something like that, but if is there an entity or that has experience in implementing something like this for a municipality? And should we also, perhaps reach out to a non-municipality, because we're not all created equal, and just get some insight from them as to whether or not we should pursue it? And, because I mean, right now, I think the only case we're hearing, which is a really good reason to be looking at it, is the development, which I really want to see happen. But I just wonder if the due diligence for this should expand maybe beyond Ellisville. So I guess maybe that's the best way to leave it, and to try to seek, viewpoint beyond another city. So that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this approach, we can take that under advisement 100%.
Perhaps Chesterfield, perhaps De Pere. St. Charles.
Very good.
I do. Like, a
Yeah.
couple, just like
Councilmember.
add your homework or whatever would be, well, I guess one question, and Thomas, in your short period of time, I don't necessarily expect you to know this answer, but has the city been asked to do this by any developers in the past? So
We have.
we have.
North Point Development,
Okay.
tried to pursue this, and that development just kind of fell off the wagon. That being said, they were going to push this platform.
Okay, but the more, I guess, important question would be the business goes into default. Who's stuck with it?
So in this case, under Chapter 100 guidelines, how it works is theoretically, the property in question would go under the ownership of the city. That's how you extend that tax waiver and tax exemption. If that property would go under, that person's stake and what they built goes liquid. That being said, the city pretty much wipes its hand from it, and doesn't have, you legally own it, but you're not responsible for it, if that makes sense. You don't have to then pay those back taxes or whatever that's being, not taxes in that sense, but you don't have to pay to get that person out of that financial bind. You just walk away.
Okay.
Very good. Councilmember Marshall, I think you mentioned earlier this evening that you may have a couple questions on this topic.
My questions, we're excluding all taxes, or is it just on sales tax? Can it take off electronic, the taxes on utilities? Those type of things.
You can, well, I don't think you can do utilities, but when it comes to property tax and sales tax, it all depends on the agreement that is drawn up for the specific industrial development bond. You don't actually have to, in a lot of cases, you just do the sales tax exemption on construction materials and things along those lines. You actually don't necessarily have to issue bonds for that. You still have to enter into an agreement, but typically what you're gonna see here is the property tax is the major driver, because an industrial development bond typically also allows you to get a little bit of a better interest rate because you're not having that tax assessed each year, because what you're pretty much saying is, hey, the partner would pay, I am okay with paying the property tax that is currently assessed on my property that has nothing on it. You build this beautiful building on it or whatever it might be, that property tax is gonna skyrocket because it's worth more now. You have a structure on it that could be worth upwards of $50, $100 million. It stays frozen in this case. So you're still paying that same exact property tax rate. So it's not like you're not paying anything, but it's freezing it at that rate. You can actually though, and interesting enough, it really all depends on what you can work out with an attorney and an agreement, and also bond counsel, because theoretically you could have periods of within that agreement. Typically they're 10 to 20 years on a bond like this, an industrial development bond. And 10 to 20 years, you could have it so every 3 years, you're gonna see an increase, a structured increase that's not the same as what's being assessed. It's what is agreed upon in that initial agreement. But all of this is, shielded, if you will, by the city technically legally owning it. And what the person is doing is when they're paying they're leasing the property that you're paying back into the city. And once they pay off that bond, then they get back ownership of that building, but then also the taxes come back at that point. So it is a little bit confusing and convoluted.
I was just confused with all the options.
There are.
So I mean, you got school districts, the community college, special school district,
Yeah.
all the other
Fire,
taxes.
you know.
That, I mean, the sales tax, the little bit that we get from the county is kind of spent, but all the other taxes, utility taxes would be our biggest opportunity on anything coming in the city. No, just more information would be great.
All right, very good. Any other questions? Councilmember Dodwell?
Is our movement on this causing the development by the Cone group delay?
No,
Okay.
in conversations with Mr. Cohn, I don't believe he is ready to initiate his permits and so on until right around the end of this year. So there is a time on this.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand when that development's gonna start, because last year he said it was gonna start this spring, so it's still delayed again.
Any other questions from any council members on this topic or comments? Seeing none, we move along to not ready for action. Update to the economic development guide.
Well, we got a little piece of it today, with at least the first business survey and also feedback from culmination of, business forums and also, over 200 business visitations in the last 2 years. So, all of that data has been compiled and will be put together here soon and actually just organized. So we have a lot of the information that's already leading towards it. But another thing is, there are a couple other items that we'll discuss with that. But yes, I would expect it in a couple months.
Perfect, thank you. Moving along to miscellaneous items. Miscellaneous items, city administrator.
The only item that I could think of is looking into, I had been reached out to by a couple residents and also just some general interest from passerbyers to boost our holiday tree lighting ceremony. They thought it was really good. After talking with our director of planning and parks, we actually are thinking about how we could put the holiday tree in the middle of the oval within the village green oval. And we can actually, while we're running utility, might as well run electric discreetly to the center where it would have a port. Where you'd be able to hook that tree up, but pretty much, I know this wasn't on the agenda, but one item that the department wanted to ask for was the opportunity to look into maybe beefing up our holiday tree lighting. We don't have it in the budget for 2024, but for 2025, we could look into offsetting maybe another event, something like that, to make sure that we're able to, once we move it to our village green, I think that there is a prerogative to, and this is something residents have explained to me as well, is that, we should take that event, move it to the village green and completely decorate the village green as a holiday theme, and hopefully get buy-in from the community and the individual businesses within the CID, but also the movie theater, et cetera, to hopefully decorate their buildings as well if they can afford it as well. So I mean, in this case, I think we lead by example, have, the city hall decorated tastefully, but obviously not overwhelming, but you could make a winter wonderland in the village green with what we plan having. So if we're already planning to move it there anyways, and we can expect this in 2025, the goal would be to look into ways to maybe offset that cost, to maybe add monies to the holiday tree lighting versus another event, or see if we can find another area of the budget where we can scrape up some additional funding.
Idea.
So I think City Administrator Lee, one of the things you and I talked about regarding this topic was possibly moving funds that would typically be expended on one of the Music on Main events. The one specifically that's scheduled for May, because the last 2 years that event was canceled due to rain. And that seems to be a somewhat rainy time of year, so maybe the best thing to do in the future might be to consider, not saying we would do it, but consider canceling that event and repurposing those funds maybe towards this tree lighting ceremony.
Yeah, so in this case, the department can go ahead, can bring back the data on how much that would add, and I would say that would probably boost up the tree lighting pretty significantly. But it has, I will say this though, one counter item for that is that we have had some cancellations, but we've never had a Music on Main concert that was not well attended. No matter
Oh,
what.
no.
100%.
Yeah, but that being said, I will say that the last two Mays, we have had rainouts, unfortunately.
So maybe do the research on that, and then what we do is maybe take some action down, consider it down the road, and then maybe make a decision at that point in time. Councilmember Dodwell.
The other thing I might suggest is if we're gonna have that kind of event, that we have some type of, you know, banner signage or something up in the park walkways that say, go get your food here, or here's a place you can, promoting the businesses that are over here on the rest of town center. Hope you enjoyed the lighting tonight. Why don't you go check out a movie now? Or
We can, and I do have an answer on
snacks
that.
and food or something.
We can do very general like wayfinding in that sense, but if we mention a specific business, that would be seen as the city endorsing one business over others. But were you saying like,
I wouldn't say we would endorse a specific business.
Mhm.
But we have our banners up here that businesses can purchase.
Yep.
So could there be a
Yes.
mechanism that would allow the businesses to do their advertising in that venue that would direct people to their businesses as part of that? Because the tree lighting only takes about, 30 minutes or so. And hopefully by then we'll have three restaurants that have come back into the fold over here.
Could you say something generic, like just please continue your evening in our beautiful town center?
yes, that could easily,
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
not a problem. It wouldn't go,
Enjoy our
it would go the
restaurant.
price tag, but that could be easily done.
You can go to
Well,
your,
restaurants are retailers.
thank you for coming, please continue your evening.
Yeah, that's good. Do it.
Most definitely.
Any other miscellaneous items? Okay. Next meeting date is April 23rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Councilmember Bartoni, seconded by Councilmember Dodwell. Non-debatable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.